Rayzr. Hey, welcome to Sketchin with Rayzr, the channel where I draw literally anything and talk over it. Thumbnail for my gaming channel, Rayzr Ray Plays. This time I have played the game Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown. Yeah, this is a pretty fun game. It's essentially, for those who don't know, it's essentially a Metroidvania, but with Prince of Persia. So side-scrolling, going back and forth, backtracking, defeating enemies, collecting upgrades, just the deal. For this thumbnail, I was just going to keep things simple. Just going to have, I believe the main character's name is Sargon, squaring off with the manticore in the game called Jahandar. I believe that's how it's pronounced. This one, the reason why I did this is essentially because this is the first boss in the game that really gave me like a challenge in the beginning, because for the most part I was kind of coasting through because despite there being challenges with progressing through the area due to like different traps and whatnot, for the most part it was simple up until this point. This is still pretty early in the game, so of course that's fine, but yeah, this one is where I was just like, oh, okay, here's the challenge. Mostly because I have old man reaction speed and I keep like messing up my timing on dodges and parries, which the parries feel amazing. Every time you parry, you get this ting sound, and there's like a huge blue shockwave effect. It feels really great, which is one of the best things you want to have in a game that includes parries. You want to really get that feel of just that hit, that reaction like that. Ooh, yeah, you got it. Yeah, well done. Although most of the time when I try to do it, it's like, ooh, yeah, you missed the parry. Yeah, now you got hit in the face. So that's the impact that I feel more often than not. But yeah, this game really felt great. So just in terms of maneuvering around and dodging and it felt great. Can I just say that? It's a lot of time with Metroidvanias, they don't really feel great in terms of maneuverability and combat. Granted, there are instances where it's purposely done that way. Like Blasphemous, it can be a little bit weighty, despite the like basic attacks being somewhat fast. You kind of have like a little bit of weight to your movement, and your jumps, it's not like wild and crazy. He's not doing crazy backflips like Sargon does in this game. It's much more simpler and to the point, which works in the favor of that game. But there are other games where it doesn't feel deliberate, and more so like, oh, I don't know if this works for the game, but it feels more like a mistake on their part or whoever created it. But it's all good. This is Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown was a fun game. Let me just say that. When it came to the freaking animations, because there was like a mixture of the 3D animation, which was very fluid, and some like 2D animations in between, where there's kind of like still images of characters and whatnot, and those images are just greatly rendered, like a masterpiece almost. I kind of would like to tackle that art style, honestly. But aside from that, it looks amazing. All your strikes have these little flurries of lights and blue flashes of lights and particle effects here and there, and it's just it's great. Gotta go play that game. Honestly, I played it. I completed it on normal, and I kind of want to complete it on the hard mode, because while there was challenge to the game, honestly, I feel like I can do it in hard mode. I can definitely take it on the. Actually, now that I think about it, there's more than one harder difficulty than normal, if I remember correctly. I think there's like two more difficulties after that. I'm gonna have to check it out later, but I definitely would like to play that again. One of my favorite things in Lost Crown was it's very fast and fluid. I believe one of my favorite instances of that in the game are these little sections where you would essentially fight, I guess you can say, time clones of yourself. Because with the Prince of Persia series, it deals with time manipulation. The whole sands of time thing. So within this game, there are sections where you're maneuvering around the map, and then you'll just stumble upon alternate version of yourself, and that version essentially I think the idea for that is that they are like a failed version, like they failed in their task, and they're like, okay, I failed in my task, but I'm gonna go back in time to where I didn't fail, defeat that Sargon, take his abilities, and then try again. But yeah, during those instances of fighting the parallel version of yourself, I should say, it was great. Like it felt like you were really pitted against like another player, essentially, because they would react essentially how you would react when it comes to parrying and dodging, and even doing their own variations on specials, or special moves. I believe in this game you get like a little meter that you build up, and once you get to a certain point in the meter, fill it up, you can use a special or a buff or whatever is selected for your character, because you got different specials, different things that you can apply to the meter, to where once you hit a certain point, you can get an upper hand on the situation. But the AI for the enemies are great when it came to that, and they really knew what they were doing. So it almost felt like a PvP match, but it was really good. Oh man, I'm still thinking about it. But yeah, what's so great about it is I've actually captured within the video sections that I honestly didn't notice before during those alternate Sargon fights, where we would go blow for blow, parry each other back to back. We would maneuver around our attacks, and it almost seemed like a dance, essentially. And I didn't really focus too much on it during gameplay. Like I didn't notice it because of how fast everything was. But looking back on it while I was editing through the video, I was like, oh my gosh, this looks great. I barely need to edit these sections. Of course, I added more flair to further enhance it, but the fights alone, it really didn't need much editing because of how great it looked. Honestly, I probably should have, because there's this thing what I did with the video where I had a running joke where the alternate versions of Sargon are like his cousins, and because I didn't like the hairstyle that Sargon had initially had, I had changed it to an alternate outfit. But all of the alternate Sargons have the regular hairstyle. So the running joke was all these cousins are trying to give the regular Sargon that you're playing as a haircut. They're trying to give him the same hairstyle as the one that the alternate Sargons have, and that's the joke. I found it super funny when I did it. I even threw variations where some Sargons, because in the game there are some Sargons, alternate versions, that are trying to quote unquote help you, like they want to work with you, and with that I tried to add in like a joke where it's like, oh yeah, Uh, I also hate the hairstyle. Yeah, me too. Only to find out that the hairstyle of his universe is the hairstyle from I believe what is it? Is the hairstyle from another game called Zao, Tales of Kenzera. Zao, Zau. It's another Metroidvania that is similar. Uh, it's yeah, it's definitely similar to this particular version of the Prince of Persia Lost Crown, and it kind of made me feel like uh, it kind of made me feel like they took notes on this specific game, like they're trying to mimic this because there were like movements similar to the Lost Crown movements within this game, but I'm not sure if that's actually what happened. Like I'm not sure if they were actually taking notes and saying, "Oh, we noticed this, this, and this, so let's try to put this, let's try to implement this in our game." But regardless, the hairstyle for that main character it's like this huge braid, like one huge braid that flows up and towards the back of his head and kind of sticks out like a tail on on the top of his head. It looks kind of weird to me, and kind of came across like a because they use like a cartoon colored cell shaded look with like bold lines on the characters on the well not the 3D model but the 2D sprites that they would have, like the still images. And because of the coloring and that particular style, the hair kind of looked shiny like a creature, like a large black creature that's just like sucking the brains out of the top of his head. It looks weird, in my opinion. But yeah, I had made that joke as saying that alternate Sargon had that hairstyle, and that's why he has a different hairstyle. It's silly and dumb, but almost as silly as all the anime aspects of this game. Yeah, Lost Crown is definitely took a lot of inspiration from the anime because there's a lot of like action close-ups and like weird twists and turns, you know, transformations, Super Saiyan aspects, a lot of like Dragon Ball aspects that I've noticed. Uh, there was even like an all for one moment towards the end of the game, which is wild. I was like, wait a second, this looks like the all for one section where you know it's all like a spark, like bouncing off of other sparks before it gets to like the center. Yeah, that's it. It was crazy. It was crazy. But every time it happened, I I over exaggerated. I was like, "Oh, anime!" It was fun. It was definitely this is definitely a game that knew how to have fun. Um, but yeah, in terms of what I've been drawing for this thumbnail, uh, I wanted to make the art style of this thumbnail match the aesthetic of the game. I pretty much went for a base and shade, you know, flat color, base and shade look to it, with somewhat bold lines, and then have like a streak of color around the bottom and top. You know, because I think that's one of the things that they use throughout the game, where the style are like these streaks of color, that's like really saturated color here and there, that just like splash across them, like ha, ooh, which is also reminiscent of you know an anime, hyper exaggerated and stylized. Which, speaking of stylized, I don't know what's been going on with like the 3D models for some of these characters, because some of these characters are like their proportions are wild. Like they do the thing where similar to like say Code Geass or Claymore. You know, those anime where the characters are like their bodies are really tall and stretched, essentially. Um, Especially what is his name? Hold up, I'm about to look it up. Lost Crown. Especially Orod. Orod is a freaking giant. That dude has a huge, like, braided beard, hulking muscles, and is essentially the Kratos of the team. Like, it's like a whole squad of these, I believe they call them the Immortals. Immortals. Which is really cool. I liked all of the Immortals except for, like, Rajan is this really tall, lanky ninja female. And she has a horrible design, in my opinion. And she has a horrible design. There's like sections of her body where I'm not sure if it's actually her skin, if it's actually an armor, if it's actually like leather, like brown leather or something. It looks weird. She kind of looks like some knockoff DeviantArt ninja character. I didn't like her design. She like did a few things and then just didn't show up throughout the entire game. So I'm not sure if they probably saving her for the DLC, but it was weird. Like she didn't have much impact, and the only impact that she did have, she kind of just like dissed Sargon essentially. She clearly didn't like him, but yeah, all of the Immortals are cool. Orod, like I said earlier, was the Kratos of the team, where his weapons are similar to Kratos' weapons, but instead of blades linked to chains, he has bladed anchors linked to chains. So this dude is walking around swinging anchors at you, which is wild. They even have a section, like to add on to the fact of, you know, him swinging around anchors, you fight him on a ship during a storm. And what I find funny about that is that's also similar to what happened with God of War, you know, with Kratos, where in the beginning you start off fighting a bunch of these enemies on a ship during a storm against like I think it's like a sea creature. Yeah. But yeah, that section was similar to that. It was very epic. I loved the battle. Him going around essentially causing these whirlwind attacks. Hence the whole storm thing. The other one that I really liked, because this the top three, which is, you know, Orod, Varum, and Melonitis. Hold up, I had to look that up. Menolias. So Varum, Orod, and Menolias. Menolias uses a bow to essentially snipe you, and use a flurry of, you know, evasion, flips, and rolls and all that. But apparently his specialty isn't being an archer. His specialty is close quarters combat. And you learn that the hard way, because after, you know, taking his health down to a certain point, he's like, bump it. I'm just going to go crazy. And essentially rushes you with like a flurry of attacks. He even has sections where he would like stand still and wait for you to hit him. And when you do hit him, he counters you and does like a flurry of attacks. And it ends with like this charged, essentially what looks like a charged ki punch from Dragon Ball. And after the impact of the punch, it's like a huge blast of energy that flies out of you. It looks crazy. It looks like an anime shot. It's very epic. But with Varum is and now he he has this really long blade, and he uses it similar to that of a katana. It's not a katana because it doesn't have like the curve that a katana would have, but it's like a really long blade, and he's really cool. He's the stoic leader of the team, with like this like it looked like a lion. Yeah. Because he's supposed to be the white lion. It looked like a lion armor that he has on him, which looks amazing. And he's very fast, dashes around, there's little flurry of slashes and whatnot, and he manipulates time. And he essentially does the thing where, with anime samurai, they do a flurry of attacks, and those flurry of attacks are like lines across the screen before he sheaths his sword, and then once he sheaths his sword, they become like slashes. Very anime. There would be sections where he would like bring up small pockets of like small spheres, that if you enter them would slow down time, and as it's slowing you down, he'll then follow up like a flurry of slashes that like go all over the place. But yeah, he's really cool, and ends up being one of the biggest enemies in the game. But yeah, I really dug it. It's been a while since I had like this much fun with a Metroidvania. I was just like, oh man, I gotta go back and play it again. I believe the last one that was like that for me was Iconoclast. Icono Icono. Yeah, Clasts. And it's another indie game, I believe mostly made by one guy. But it's like a sprite-based Metroidvania where you play as a girl with a large golden wrench and a little blaster. It kind of plays similar to Mega Man. I'm all over the place with that. But yeah, it's similar to that in terms of like how much fun I had with a Metroidvania and how much I would like to go back and play it, despite already being it. But yeah, I've been on a huge binge of like side scrollers and Metroidvanias back to back. Can't get enough of them. Despite most of them kind of playing similar, I still can't seem to get enough of them. There's actually one that I'm waiting to come out. Hold on, I'm about to pull it up on because I got a wish list on Steam. So let me check it real quick. It's called Gestalt, Steam, and Cinder, which is another Metroidvania, but it's also similar to Iconoclast. It's kind of like sprites, but the sprites are a little bit taller. They have a little bit more proportions. But it's colorful. It's kind of got like a steampunk style to it. The colors and aesthetics kind of give it a old school Game Boy Advance game, which is one of my favorite handheld consoles that I've ever had. I remember back in New York in an apartment playing on my Game Boy Advance atop the washing machine, chilling like a villain. But yeah, when it comes to Gestalt, Steam, and Cinder, you walk around with like I believe a sword and a gun as well, and a bit of electricity powers, if I remember correctly. Might be thinking about something else, but regardless, I played the demo and I liked it. I'm definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm definitely binging on a bunch of them. But what's another one that I played? Oh, Ori and the Blind Forest. That one was a mixture of both fun and aggravating because I was having a lot of issues with platforming. I was having a lot of issues with the platforming in Ori, which is definitely a huge component of that game, which is platforming. uh, the characters' movements are a lot of it's fast, but it's also very floaty. But while it's being floaty, you can still have a lot of control over your character. And I think the combination of it being floaty and fast at the same time messed with me. So I would miss a lot of jumps because I would either overextend the jumps thinking I wouldn't make it, and then try to fix it by moving the character backwards and forwards just to get a good adjustment, only to have that good adjustment be the cause of me falling off the edge. Because I wasn't used to how much control you were given mid-air. So it was both restricting and very freeing, because while you're okay, let me say this: while you're in the air, you can maneuver your character, with ease. But there's a certain limit to your jumps and your your air dashes. But they give you a lot of different abilities to help compensate for that stuff. I believe there's a section where you grab onto a feather from a giant owl and just sort of glide with that feather. So they give you a lot of options. There's even sections where you can sort of blast off of enemies and enemy projectiles, which is kind of weird. I'm kind of confused on how that's supposed to work for the character, but yeah, that's definitely something. But that's my time for today. I'm gonna go ahead and send you guys to the speed paint section of the video, and I hope you enjoy it. You guys have a good one. Keep your mind, body, and soul razor sharp. Rayzr.